This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, Japan's Prime Minister plans to step down. Russian files reveal hypothetical strike targets inside Europe, and the EU ramps up its fight with Elon Musk. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Wednesday, the 14th of August, 2024. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has announced he will step down as leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, in September, ending his chaotic 3-year premiership. It follows a series of scandals and crises that have damaged the approval ratings of Kishida's government, which fell below 20% last month, the lowest figure since the LDP returned to power in 2012. At a press conference on Wednesday, Kishida said he would not seek re-election as president of his party. He said Japan continues to face tough situations at home and abroad. It's extremely important that we tackle these issues with a firm hand. The first and clearest step to show that the LDP is changing is for me to step down. For context, since Kishida took office in 2021, public trust in the conservative LDP has been eroded by several events. The first of these was the shock assassination in July 2022 of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe by a suspect who cited the LDP's links to the controversial Unification Church as a reason for targeting him. The biggest scandal, though, was a financial scandal. In late 2023, more than 80 LDP lawmakers, mostly belonging to a major party faction previously led by Abe, were accused of failing to report hundreds of millions of yen's worth of party funds, instead putting the cash into slush funds. As well as the dissolution of several LDP factions, it triggered the resignation or sacking of several cabinet ministers, high-profile ethics hearings, and even the criminal indictment of some LDP lawmakers. So, throughout 2024, Kishida's failures in government have been a big talking point, with polling last month suggesting that just 10% of the Japanese population wanted him to continue as Prime Minister. But his decision to step down has reportedly still come as a surprise within the LDP, as, according to sources close to the cabinet, senior party figures had believed he would stand for re-election. So, what happens next, and who's likely to become Japan's next Prime Minister? Well, so far, speculation has centered around 3 career politicians in their 60s. Former Trade Minister Toshimitsu Motegi, former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba, and former Foreign Minister Taro Kono. There's also one possible younger contender, 49-year-old Takayuki Kobayashi, a graduate of the Harvard Kennedy School, who was Economic Security Minister from 2021 to 2022. Whoever wins the leadership election, which is expected to be held around September the 20th, will lead the LDP into Japan's next general election, which must be held by the end of October 2025. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Josie Kins, then consider joining the new TLDR membership program for just $1.99. Moving to Russia now, where there were reports that the Navy has been training to use nuclear-capable missiles in a hypothetical war against NATO. The report comes from the Financial Times, who claim to have seen additional secret files from Russia. Previously, they reported on a cache of 29 secret Russian military files that demonstrated that they had rehearsed using tactical nuclear weapons at the beginning of the conflict. This time, though, it seems that Russia has prepared a map of targets across Europe that would be struck early on in a nuclear exchange with NATO. On said map are targets as far-flung as the west coast of France and Barrow-in-Furness in the UK. Additionally, the documents claim that the Navy's high manoeuvrability allows it to conduct sudden and preemptive blows and massive missile strikes from various directions. Now, it's worth noting that these documents were drawn up somewhere between 2008 and 2014, before the war with Ukraine, and is simply their plans for a war with NATO were it to occur. And moving to some tech news now, where a public disagreement between the EU and ex-owner Elon Musk has intensified in recent days. In anticipation of a live interview hosted on X between Musk and former President Donald Trump, the EU's Internal Market Commissioner Thierry Breton posted a letter to Musk, threatening to use the full power of the Digital Services Act if Musk failed to curb illegal content. In reply to this, Musk posted a Tropic Thunder meme suggesting that Breton should take a big step back and literally f*** your own face. However, in the latest twist in this story, it seems that the EU didn't actually approve of Breton's original letter and have accused him of going rogue. In fact, on Thursday, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen denied permission for Breton to send the letter, with an EU official pointing out that Thierry has his own mind and way of working and thinking. UK inflation rose 2.2% in July, below the expected 2.3% expected, according to data from the Office for National Statistics. This rise in inflation was driven by a sharp fall in services inflation, which declined from 5.7% in June to 5.2% in July, the lowest since June 2022. Analysts had expected a smaller decline, and the drop was partly attributed to erratic airfares and fluctuating hotel prices. Despite the lower than expected rise, inflation remains above the Bank of England's 2% target. Core inflation, excluding food and energy, also fell to 3.3% in July, the lowest since September 2021. Financial markets responded with sterling falling 0.23% against the US dollar and UK gilts rallying as investors anticipated further rate cuts. The Bank of England expects inflation to rise to 2.8% by December, but to decline gradually to 1.5% by 2027. Annual wage growth excluding bonuses slowed to 5.4%, the lowest in almost 2 years. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey emphasised the need for caution in cutting rates further. The slight rise in inflation presents challenges for the Labour government and Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who aims to boost growth while being cautious about further rate cuts. Shadow Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has stressed the importance of adhering to previous economic policies set by the previous Conservative government. He warned that the new Labour government should not use the recent inflation data as an excuse to break promises or increase taxes. In our final uplifting story, we discuss a new initiative to clear rubbish from the slopes of Mount Everest, thanks to heavy lift drones. The largest drone manufacturer in China, Dazhang Innovations, will supply the equipment to an operator in the rural Nepalese municipality of Khumba Pasang Lamu, which has signed an agreement with the local population committee to allow the use of drones around the sacred Buddhist mountain. Currently, clearing rubbish from the mountainside is a dangerous operation carried out by Sherpa porters on foot. There's also a requirement that every climber who plans to reach Everest Base Camp must come back down with 8 kilograms of rubbish or lose a $4,000 deposit. If a climber reaches Camp 1 or Camp 2 higher up the mountain, the requirement is lower to ensure they aren't overburdened in the low oxygen environment. So, in future, using drones will mean that Sherpas will no longer need to risk their lives clearing the slopes. There are also plans to train them in drone operation so they can handle the task at higher altitudes. There's a lot of difficult decisions to make here, and making huge decisions is difficult, even for world leaders. The good thing is that Brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data, programming, and AI. Their interactive classes help build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not memorizing. So, while you're building real knowledge on specific topics, you'll also be becoming a better thinker. For instance, their Predicting with Probability course can help you better understand and assess the world around you. You can learn to wrangle massive datasets, compare distributions, and master fundamental concepts like Bayes' theorem. That might sound a little technical, but with their active learning, you learn this by answering questions like which airline is least likely to have a delay due to weather, and how much more unruly airline passengers have gotten since the pandemic. Data skills are absolutely necessary for navigating the modern world, and Brilliant is the best way to get them. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/TLDR, or click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription.